Good morning, my sugar plums. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're having a lovely, cozy January. I love leaning into nature's way throughout winter and just leaning into feeling cozy and resting and planting my seeds for my intentions for the year, and just approaching this in a really slow and soft and gentle way so that I can be consistent with my goals throughout the year. One of my goals is to read more classic literature. I'm so excited for Emerald Fennell's adaptation of Wuthering Heights. So I've been reading Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights, and I just am really excited to read more classic novels and classic literature throughout the year. I feel as though in the beginning of starting this book, I was a bit confused about who the narrator is, and I just found it a bit more challenging to get into as opposed to an episode of Bridgerton, which is so easily digestible. And I think that is something that with all this kind of short form content that we consume every day, it's so fast and easily digestible, and it's all built on instant gratification. And I feel as though a book like this, that gratification isn't always instant and it comes later. And now that I'm in the story and I've kind of read up on the Wuthering Heights family tree and who all the characters are, I'm really enjoying Emily Bronte's gothic atmosphere of the Yorkshire moors. I'm just so excited for the film that's coming out in February. I feel as though Emerald Fennell's visuals are just so captivating, and I love that she has done her own interpretation of the novel. I love that it feels very dreamlike and fantasy and almost a fairy tale version. I love all the costumes that we've seen glimpses of. There's one of Margot Robbie in like a fur trimmed winter outfit that just looks so gorgeous. There's also this PVC kind of, almost, it reminds me of a Cinderella glass slipper but in the form of a dress, which I'm just so looking forward to seeing. So my boyfriend has booked the tickets for us to go see that on Valentine's Day, so I'm just so excited for that. I think when the trailer came out with Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi, I love both those actors, and the Charlie XCX soundtrack just hit me in such a way. It just kind of played on so many emotions with the costume and the visuals in Emerald Fennell's storytelling, how kind of captivating the cinematography, just the mise-en-scène of this film. I just already have fallen in love with it from watching the trailer, so I'm so excited to go and see that next month. I just love the way that Emerald has taken a classic novel and kind of interpreted it and created it for a contemporary audience. It feels very kind of pop, and I like the way that it does kind of feel as though it has all these kind of romanticized aesthetics that we love to celebrate on TikTok, and that kind of pop element with Charlie XCX's soundtrack. I'm just so excited for this film. I think I haven't been excited for a film this much since Barbie came out, and I just remember all the build up to Barbie with everyone going to see it wearing pink. It was just so lovely, and I also feel that feeling of like it's kind of a celebration and a sense of togetherness that I haven't felt since Barbie was released, with all the girlies on TikTok rereading Wuthering Heights, or like myself reading Wuthering Heights for the first time. There's just this tangible togetherness and excitement in the air, which I think is always so lovely when a film is released and it just captivates something in the moment. I think that's so beautiful. I love setting my goals and intentions for the year with just journaling, and I always love to use a Smyson notebook. I think they're just so gorgeous and luxurious, and I love this class. It's just such a delightful experience to journal in a Smyson notebook. My mum very kindly gifted me a new Smyson notebook for Christmas, so I thought we could unwrap that together. How gorgeous is this? Utterly exquisite. A small thing that has been delighting me this winter is wearing these cozy Swan Lake pajamas every evening. I just love this cute little Swan Lake detail. It's almost like a Swan Lake twirl. I have this matching Swan Lake blanket, which is just bringing me so much joy on these cold winter nights, wearing the Swan Lake pajamas with the matching cozy blanket, and watching the Gilded Age has just brought me so much cozy warmth in the bleakness of winter. How darling is this Laura Ashley mixer? Cute. So it comes with this little bag. How cute is that? I love it. So darling. I love this blue flower detail. How darling is this? How darling is this mixer? I just love the blue flower detail, and I just love that it comes with this cute little bag so you can store it nicely. I love the classic print of Laura Ashley, and I'm just so excited to bake with this. As you just saw, my mum and I went to the Marie Antoinette Style exhibition at the V&A, which explored Marie Antoinette as a style icon and how influential her taste has been within fashion and interior design. Ever since I saw Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette film as a teenager, I've been so fascinated with this era in history, and one of my favourite parts of Sofia Coppola's film is the scenes set in Le Petit Trianon, which was Marie Antoinette's countryside retreat, which just feels like such a contrast to the grandeur of Versailles, and I just love the aesthetic of these scenes with the clothing and the interiors, how they draw on a much more simpler palette. It's still very palatial and princessy, but it draws on more natural elements and fabrics that celebrate bucolic scenery and romanticize the countryside. In the exhibition, it talked about Marie Antoinette's love for toile de Juillet, which is a fabric which I've always been drawn to. I have bedding in toile de Juillet and kitchenware in the toile de Juillet print, and even things like these pajamas with the Swan Lake-esque toile de Juillet print. I can just see how inspired these are by Marie Antoinette's taste and aesthetic, and even the Laura Ashley hand mixer I was showing you earlier, I now see how inspired by Marie Antoinette and her era at Le Petit Trianon, romanticizing the countryside with the little blue flower detail. And so I think just seeing lots of pieces of her clothing that she wore and pieces of her jewellery and her homeware, her furniture and pieces of her tableware just all laid out in this exhibition, I just saw how deeply influential Marie Antoinette Style is on my own taste within interior design. I've always been drawn to this romantic French country interior design style, and I think I've loved things like shabby chic interior design, which is more of a American concept, but it draws on those inspirations of Marie Antoinette and how influential she was at creating this aesthetic. In the exhibition, it spoke about how Marie Antoinette went to the toile de Juillet factories and gave it the royal stamp and was really influential in making the fabric and that print so popular, which I thought was really fascinating. And I just loved seeing some of her dishes and tableware with cornflowers on and little pearl details, and it just made me reflect on how I love so many of those details within my own homeware pieces. I love my burly china, which romanticizes countryside scenes and celebrates bucolic landscapes, and just so many of the little floral details within the design of Marie Antoinette's interiors I just love incorporating that into my own interior design. And even things like my bed frame, which I've had for years, is a Marie Antoinette Style French bed frame, and I just, now going to this exhibition, have just reflected on how deeply influential her style has been on me. In the exhibition there were the Manolo Blahnik shoes from the Sofia Coppola film, which, if you're someone who loves fashion in film as much as I do, it's such a magical part of the exhibition to see. There were also lots of costumes that were worn by Kirsten Dunst in the film, and the earrings she wore, so that was so special for me to see as someone that adores the Marie Antoinette Sofia Coppola film. And it's said that Sofia Coppola had given her costume designer a brief, and she handed her a box of La Durée macarons and said, "This is how I would like the costumes to look and feel." And I just love this detail. As a fashion filmmaker myself, I can just resonate with Sophia so deeply on this decision in her direction and how she went about creating a mise-en-scène that feels like a box of La Durée macarons. And that costume designer went on to win an Oscar for her costumes in Marie Antoinette. My mum and I then went on to Harrods and had a little afternoon tea moment at the Prada cafe, which felt like the cherry on top of the perfect princess day, with all the exquisite pastel Prada cakes. It just reminded me so much of the montage in Sofia Coppola's film where Marie Antoinette is shopping, and there's lots of cakes that are so exquisite, and there's the Manolo Blahnik shoes everywhere, and it's just so sugary and delightful with the I Want Candy soundtrack over the top of the montage, and then you get the flash of Marie Antoinette's pastel Converse, which I just love that contemporary interpretation that Sophia very subtly wove into the film. And so yeah, when we were at the Prada cafe, I was just reminiscing about when the Prada cafe at Harrods was the La Durée cafe, and it was just in the La Durée signature pistachio green colour, which is exactly what so many parts of the film feel like. And I just remember little details at the La Durée in Harrods where they had the butters wrapped up in that signature La Durée green, and the butters were cylinders and they were wrapped up like little sweets, like French bonbons, which I just thought was so delightful. So thank you so much for joining me, my sugar plums, and I will see you soon.